Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Man, it's a late night, right? I know y'all like, what this dude, 9 o'clock, dude? I know y'all like, 9 o'clock, dude, come on, man. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Yeah, hey, I gotta go when it's time to go. Uh, but I would like to say for anyone, because I did post to do this at 6 o'clock this evening. So for anybody that tuned in for at 6 o'clock and that you guys are on time. But again, for those that don't know, I started this yesterday, this particular piece and subject. And as I told you, this is going to be like layers upon layers. You know what I mean? This is a very heavy, very complex uh, teaching that I have to come to you guys with. And even as today, as I was ready to go at 6 o'clock, I was studying and everything, man, and it took me to a whole nother thing. So if you tuned in with me yesterday, let me first and foremost, let me give shout outs to my Instagram family. This is my first time going live on Instagram along with Facebook. But let me give shout out to my Instagram family and welcome to a ghetto prisoner's GO-SPIEL. So let me get right into this because I know I'm late. It's 9 o'clock and for anybody and everybody that tunes in, gratitude and thank you for being up with your brother, man, and friend. And hey, listen, share the live, tag somebody, let them know the Sheik then went live. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so listen. So yesterday, if you tuned in with me, I'm going to start where it all started yesterday. But let me say this as I go. Again, remember, I started this because I'm beginning to see, well, I've seen for a while now about these viruses, be it Corona, Delta, or Omicron. But coupled with the viruses and everything, all the misinformation, all the information that has changed, even with the mandates now as they stand, especially right here in Chicago. So for me, it was beginning to be something that's very serious. It's something that's hitting right at our front door in our homes. And it's a very serious discussion that we need to be having, because again, it's come down now to one or two things. We those who are unvaccinated are being made to be looked upon as if they are actually the virus themselves, or they're the disease, or they're unpatriotic, or you know what I mean. And then you have our livelihoods. A lot of people's livelihoods are at stake right here. And they're telling them that if they don't be vaccinated or what have you, then, they can't work, or people are having to make that choice. Man, do I take the shot? And they're not considering taking the shot for health reasons. They're considering taking the shot because their livelihood is at stake. Okay? So they know they kind of got them in the rock and a hard place or spot. So I think this is a very serious thing that needed to be discussed. And as I began to study and research on the thing, because it's getting close to home again, even I have to make a decision. Though I have always said, hey, I'm not taking it. That's one thing. But the reality is reality. We have been taking vaccinations since we were children. That don't mean because we've been doing the thing all our life, that means it's right now. We're the adults now. We now have to take the time out to check information, to see why we believe what we believe, and see if we really want to pass that on to our That's our responsibility. Now, I grew up with my mom spitting on a broom when you swept her foot. That then became my little thing that I used to do. If I sweep my feet, I spit on it. But then at some point, it just hit me. Wait a minute, why am I doing this? Right? So along with that and other things, I began to check those things, and that is our responsibility, not just simply to go off the knowledge that has been passed to us, but to check that knowledge and to find out and introduce new knowledge as well. Okay? All right, so again, as I was studying to figure out, to have an informed decision when I make this decision whether to or not take this vaccine, like any question, I told you guys, when you ask yourself a question, what you're doing is putting yourself on a journey. You're setting yourself up to go on a journey and an adventure. This is why I say, if you ask someone else a question and they answer that question for you, you may think that they just helped you. But what they did is just robbed you. They robbed you of a beautiful, man, I promise you, it's always a beautiful, mind-opening and mind-boggling adventure and journey, a quest even, that you go on every time you ask yourself a question. So I asked myself the question, what is it, pardon me, about this vaccine and being injected with it that these people, I've never seen these people act like this ever since I've been on this earth, about trying to get us to take a vaccine, right? About trying to inject us with something. I'm talking about they have went from trying to offer us guns, cash prizes, you can come into certain places, restaurants, entertainment centers that you probably didn't have access to. You know, all this kind of stuff that's making you go, what the hell is going on? Then we have all the misinformation from Donald Trump all the way to present day Joe Biden, right? The CDC. There's a lot of things in there I found out about the CDC, right? The CDC actually is connected to the Tuskegee experiment of 1932 to 1972. It happened for 40 years where they shot our brothers up with syphilis, right? Untreated. It's only then they wasn't known as the CDC or the Center of Disease Control. They were known as the United States Public Health Service. So all they did was re-rocked their name, you understand, and came back. See, after the syphilis debacle, it was so horrendous, it was so evil, you understand, that they didn't want to continue in that name. So all they did was change their name to the Center of Disease Control, and they still, and so here's my point, I'm bringing that out. The same people that was conducting the syphilis studies for over our brothers for 40 years straight are the same people that is now giving us instructions and guidance, and in fact they're giving us how would you say questionable instructions and guidance. From week to week, from month to month, their instructions and their guidance is changing, right? And we know that the only thing that changes is a lie. Truth don't change. If it's the truth, it's the truth, it's the truth, it's the truth. Truth don't change. Only lies change, right? And they've been changing up the script all through this flick. So we looking crazy and we looking stupid because we have doubts, we have hesitant, we have concerns and worries. You have not, as the so-called leaders, have not made us feel comfortable enough to just simply stick our arm out blindly, especially that coupled with your history for all the experiments, whether they be socially, biologically conducted on my people. We just supposed to throw all that away and just say, hey, go ahead, I know you have my best interest at heart. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. We ain't doing that one. Not today. Today, you stick yourself pretty, Tony. Stick yourself pretty, Tony. Boss talk. So, let me get back to it. Again, the reason why, as I'm studying about the vaccination, and this is what I'm saying, when you ask yourself a question, don't rob yourself of the adventure, of the quest, of the journey that each question can take you on as you find out the answer, right? Because along the journey or this adventure to find out the answer to your question, I promise you, you're going to find out things that you never even knew had anything to do with the question that you were asking. Okay? So in this case, I was asking myself about this virus and this vaccination and what's really going on. And somehow, I ended up at the Blueprint and Larry Hoover. Somehow I ended up in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Scientific of America. Somehow I ended up in the Bible. Y'all, man, somehow I ended all the way up in the celestial bodies and stars. The sun even. Somehow I ended up at me. And when I ended up at me, the most interesting thing happened. I ended up at you. You was there too. So the ism of India Ari is true. Well, then if you know yourself, then you know me very well. If you know yourself, she said, then you know me very well. Even if you don't know my name, even if you never seen me a day in your life, we never had 2 words, 3 words, no words. If you know yourself, then you know me very well. I wonder if you really knew that I see God in you. But guess what? They do too. They do too. And that's how I would end up in a Holy Quran. And that's how I would end up in a Bible. That's how I would end up in studying, getting back to the Holy Quran of Mecca, Buddhism, Confucianism. I ended up in Nirvana, man. I ended up in Nirvana asking myself the question about the virus and the mandates. Y'all don't understand how deep this goes. This today that we are facing is a planned, you hear me? This is a planned attack that has been in the making since they have been attacking us. This is just unfolding now though. And listen, hear me out, brother and sister. If you are vaccinated already, listen, man, as your brother, I love you. I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. I am not. I know how these people, man, I know how these people can make a move on you and shoot a move on you and how you signing away your life before you even know it. I know. Don't get it twisted. I'm not judging you. But let your brother, man, let me wire you up on something real quick. This is heavy. This is why it's taking me so long with this. This ain't nothing to play with. When I get this to y'all, I got to make sure I give it to you right, because the information that I give you out of this, I understand I will be fact checked by these ones, but they can't. Facts don't mess with truth. And let me tell y'all something, you better know it. Truth ain't facts, and facts ain't truth. Facts are the general opinion of men. Facts are general opinions of men that got together and decided that this would be a matter of fact, but that ain't true. And I can't demonstrate the truth. And I'm finna give you the truth. Okay? Let me show you how deep this go. How it was attached to a vision or a Larry Hoover. How this attached to the Black Panther Party, J. Edgar Hoover, and the FBI counterintelligence program. How it attaches to Willie Lynch and his slave making. How it attaches to the Woodlawn organization, the Woodlawn experiment, and the sociological experiment to create a gang mentality. What does all the things that I just said have in common? Right here. Right here. Your mind. Your thinking. Your intelligence. So, as I left off yesterday, in fact, I want to start how I started to get it back, to bring it back. But as I left off yesterday, pardon me. Oh yeah, and so, 1 second, should be, okay, I know about heart, I should know about heart. Okay, so, as I ended to be continued to today, yesterday, I was at the part in the Holy Quran, chapter 47, 13 and 14 verse, and I was speaking up on Jesus as he clasped the hand of Apollo, and he began to tell Apollo how his flesh had been changed to a higher form. Okay, and then man, it's awesome, because as he began to tell him how his flesh, and he said that I can now cross the borderline at will. I can go from flesh to higher planes of life at will, right? And then in the next verse, he said, what I have done, all men can do. Now, go forth and teach what? The omnipotence of man. What is the omnipotent? What is omnipotence? Omnipotent or omnipotent means almighty. Almighty. Ain't nothing more mightier than you. Ain't nothing more stronger than you. You are almighty. And in this particular script, it was saying that he wanted this husband and wife team to, I think it was, their name was Claudius and Juliet, to go forth and teach and demonstrate the omnipotence of man, the almightiness, the strength, the durableness of man. Okay. Now, the only thing that we are always known as omnipotent is God, Allah, Yah, Jah, whatever you call him. That's typically is known as the omnipotent, because to be omnipotent, nothing is mightier than. So Jesus is saying, go teach the omnipotence of man. Man has an omnipotence about himself. Where would he get that from? Where will we get that from? Okay? Alright. Now again, so you will have to ask yourself, how does one begin to ask himself about a virus and the mandates and all this kind of stuff that gets to a point where he's talking about Jesus' flesh transforming into divine flesh or higher form of flesh, right? And the omnipotence of man. What does that got to do with all this? When I began yesterday, I began with a passage up out of the blueprint of a new concept. And it was inspired, our brother Terrestrual saying, he was the one who actually posted it on it. And when I seen it, I'm like, exactly, that goes perfect with it. And so let me read that. It's on page 74, so page 74 of the blueprint. And it reads on this wise. The new concept is a revelation. A revelation that a new order has been given. It is a revelation that we are considering our relationship to the rest of mankind as never before. It is a revelation that through service and cooperation with the vision of our leadership, we can become a reckoning power of people. Third principle called loyalty, page 74 of the blueprint. Now, I'm going to go back over there for overviewing purposes. He said, the new concept is a revelation. What is a revelation? The root word of revelation is revealed. So something is being revealed. He said the new concept is that revealing, is that revelation. When we receive revelation, that means you are receiving vision. Vision is not sight. Don't get vision mixed up with sight. Vision is to see, to foresee even. Okay? So to have vision is to be able to see, not just have sight. Sight for vision will probably be the peripheral, to be able to look at all other angles, but true vision is to be able to see. So in this new concept, the revelation that we are getting is real, is being able to see things as it is, see it clearly, right? And we call it awareness. Okay, he say a revelation that a new order has been given. Now, my brother F.E.El and a lot of people, I know that they would jump real quick, and you're not right. I mean, pardon me, you're not wrong. He would say that the order would mean there's a new mandate, so to speak. There's a new mandate that has been given. It is mandatory, okay? And I guess I understand where he's coming from, but we have to understand there is no compulsion. There is no compulsion with this. Right? We're not forcing anybody. We're not mandating nobody in this case, okay? We want the sincere, those with integrity and dignity to come forth out of obedience and not sacrifice. So, in this case, the revelation that he is saying that is a new order that's being given is not so much that this new revelation is a mandate. What he is saying, it is mandatory considering what we're going through, though. See, that's what I'm saying. In that sense, is right. It's mandatory in the case that look at our conditions and our state as a people, as you know, and it's mandatory that we get, you know, this understood that there's a new revelation that we got. I get that, right? But in this case, the new revelation, that a new order that's being given is a the order in this case is organization. The order is understanding that there is levels to our growth and our development, right? And that we will only see how much we have grown pertaining to how much we have developed, okay? So we want to talk about that. We want to get into that. See, and we don't want to be spooky about it. We want to be very scientific, very cerebral, very intelligent about it, because that's what this is all based upon. If you don't approach it like that, you won't understand it in that way. Okay? So the order that's being given is an order of, how would you say, ordered steps, sequences. I'll show you what I mean by that. He said that it is a revelation that we are considering our relationship to the rest of mankind. So this new concept, this new teaching wants us now to consider others. Whereas we used to live a life where we said to hell with others, we are who we are, and what we ain't, we'll never be, and damn it, you better get out of my way, or you know what's happening. See, so we leaving that kind of mentality for a new revelation, for a new concept, right? And now with this new concept, with this new idea, with this new mentality, with this new teaching, we must consider our neighbor. We must consider our brother, man, and friend. We must consider the good Samaritan. You understand? We don't just get to take people things just because we want to. We're not the bullies of the block. We don't succeed in progress in life anymore by being physical, by being beasts, by being brutes, by being savages, by being brawn. Today, we want to utilize our intelligence. He say it is a revelation that through service, listen to this, through service and cooperation with the vision of our leadership, we can become what? A reckoning power of people. A reckoning power of people. A power to be considered. A power to take into consideration, right? Now, typically, we get that part and we just leave it there because automatically people tend to think that being a power to be reckoned with or reckoning power of people has to do with being physical. It's like to even look intimidating. I'm a reckoning power of people. You know, we come from a, and then you got to have a certain look on your face, a certain, kind of lean in your stand or dip in it. It's a, nah. Them days over with, like the dinosaurs. They gone, Joe. That's extinct. That's a dinosauric, mentality. That shit is played out. Boss talk. So he say, with the vision of our leadership, we can become a reckoning power of people. Now, this reckoning power of people that I just told you is not a physical power that's to be considered. It's not saying, hey, we need to be considered as a physical power like we used to be as gangsters, as in that gang-banging mentality. Nay, we're saying that we are we are to become a reckoning power of people by the display and the demonstration and the practical application of our intelligence, our divine intelligence, aka the vision, our new concept. We're saying that the power that we want to be considered now, as opposed to being a physical power, when we say we're our power to be considered, we're not saying our strength, our brawn, our muscles. We're saying our intellect is something to be considered now. Oh yeah, and they've been knowing it. We'll get into that. And so this power to be reckoned with also is the omnipotence of man that Jesus is speaking about. Yeah, I said it. The power to be reckoned with that you want to become or that you want to express in life is the omnipotence of man that Jesus wants to be taught as well. Oh yeah. Now let me get into that. And let me show you how all this began to tie. Let me keep that in there. Pardon. I'm trying to see where to start. Okay, so let's do it like this. As I kicked it off and I talked about Jesus collapsing the hand of Apollos, and he told him, listen, my flesh was changed to higher form, and I can transform from flesh to higher planes of life at will. That is the demonstration of the omnipotence of man. In that you find the almightiness, the omnipotence of man, right? Alright. So why would he be talking about? See, when I've always studied this story, I've always thought that story was trying to relate that Jesus had died, he had resurrected, and when this higher form of flesh that he was talking about, I thought it was like a celestial form of flesh or angelic body, so to speak, right? That's how I've always saw that. But today, because of the vision and things, alhamdulillah, because of the revelation of Allah as well, you know, I have to say that I get it now. Let me tell you something about us, man. We are brothers, sisters. We are the most intellectual, how can I say this? We are the most intellectual technologists on this earth, on this planet, that this planet has ever seen, and we are the most intellectuals or intelligent warriors that this planet will ever see. If we are ever allowed to fulfill our capacity. Let me show you what I mean. And all of this ties into the virus. Here we go. Oh, I'm gonna start like this. I was checking out this good brother. His name is Tony Riddick, and Tony Riddick was giving a lecture on the African spiritual technology. And as he began to teach, and he was talking to the crowd of people and teaching on African spiritual technology, he started with pointing out our good brother George Washington Carver. And he talked about George Washington Carver and brought him up because of his, he was a brilliant scientist. And of course, he let it be known that, he's the one who founded the peanut. And out of the peanut, George Washington Carver would make over 300 products. I'm talking about products like shaving cream, soap. George Washington Carver created antiseptics. He created what else? Let me get a few things that our good brother did that if he didn't do it, we wouldn't even have it right now today. And then we're going to really jump into this, because there's some evil stuff. It really is about spiritual wickedness going on in high places. If you only knew. Oh, it's in fact, I don't know what page it is. Pardon. Okay. So, George Washington Carver, just to name a few, he created over 300 products out of the peanut. But just to name a few right here, our good brother created paste. He made insulation paper. He made wallboard. He made wood stains. He made soap, shaving cream, skin lotion, antiseptic, laxatives. How and why? There were many other scientists going to the University of Tuskegee with George Washington Carver during his time. What was the difference in George Washington Carver's intelligence than his counterparts? Why was George Washington Carver able to make that discovery? And then not only make the discovery of the peanut, go on to create 300 more products out of it. How did he get that knowledge? Where did he get that knowledge? You know? That's what we want to get into. What if I told you, though, that the reason why George Washington Carver was able to do the things that he was able to do as far as with his intelligence was all due to his darkness? What if I told you it was all due to his melanin? All right, real quick. So the brother Tony Riddick would pull two brothers out of the crowd. Both brothers being very dark in their hue and their skin pigmentation. And though they are both same in darkness in their hue, there's still a difference because one is still darker than the other one. So one is darker, one is lighter, right? So basically, what the brother would go on to say and teach was that according to your dosage of melanin, depending upon how dark your skin is or was, it signified your capacity for absorbing scientific and divine intelligence. Y'all don't hear me. You're not hearing me. The difference that he would point out between the one darker brother and the other brother being a lighter hue, though they both was dark, was that he would call them a difference in frequencies or generational frequencies even, right? All right. Now, because there's a difference between frequencies here, what this speaks to is the capacity for each one to receive light waves. Light waves. And I'm talking about real natural light. I'm talking about like UV rays, UVB rays that comes from the sun. Light waves. Okay? Now, depending upon how dark you were, it does not mean that you received it, because you could be receiving it and not know it, and therefore you're not applying it, right? But it does says what ability and capacity you have to receive, okay? The sun. Oh, wait, let me say this. As light as it goes, what we should see in that, for instance, our Caucasian brothers and sisters, what we would see with our Caucasian, it's not that they don't have melanin, but their melanin dosages are so low that they operate and receive on a lower frequency than we do, and therefore they don't interpret like we do. You begin to see how important we are to Pharaoh now, huh? Yeah, I'm kind of going slow because you need to hear this, and I need to get it right. I got to get this. I got to deliver this to you right. It's too significant. It's too important. Deadly. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to tell you is we are the most melanated people on this planet. Okay? Because we are so melanated, we can absorb the UV rays and the UVB rays from the sun, the light waves, right? And as those light waves come in, from hertz all the way to gamma rays, we can read and absorb 100% of all frequencies in between hertz and gamma rays. Then, then Allah will go to show off even more and say, not only am I going to give them the capacity and the ability to receive 100% of all light waves and frequencies and interpret them, I'm going to also give them the ability to apply them for practical reasons. I'm going to allow them to be able to manifest into reality whatever vision, positive, productive, that they see, that comes from their divine intelligence. How am I going to do this, though? How do I do this? The sunlight, when it hits us, it goes through our eyes. We've always been told all our lives that the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? So the sunlight, it goes and it hits our eyes. When it hits our eyes, it makes contact with our pineal gland, P-I-N-E-A-L gland, right? The pineal gland is in charge of what? Our skin pigmentation. So the more sunlight that your eyes or your pineal gland absorb, basically speaks to how dark or melanated that you will be. That's one instance. And another instance, those same UV rays and UVB rays we're absorbing from the sunlight carries within it vitamins. It carries within it nutrients, vital vitamins and nutrients even, that comes with it, right? And it plays on our biological system. It aids and assists our immune system. Natural vitamins, natural medicine, natural herbs, natural whatever, minerals, natural, okay? But watch, let me show you something else that it does. When that light from the sun makes contact with the melanated skin, automatically a chemistry starts and a hormone begins to be produced, okay, in our skin, okay? And in fact, whenever we go outside into the sun and we begin to get darker, or people begin to tan, right? That's what's going on right then and there. That's what I'm telling you. When you be seeing that darker stuff going on, what's going on is that a hormone is being produced called, and I practice on this word all before, it's so co-calciferous. That's it. So they produce this hormone. Light from the sun hitting our melanated skin automatically creates a chemistry that produces a hormone called co-calciferous. Okay? When co-calciferous is produced within our bodies, it enters our liver, or it converts itself through our liver, right? And when it converts itself through our liver, what it converts into is vitamin D. Vitamin D. Why is vitamin D important for us? Yeah, somebody would say our bone structure. They would say our teeth, and they would say our eyes. And it basically would be left out. But vitamin D is very significant and important to us for calcium. We have all over our bodies, and I just learned this evening from the brother that we have all over our bodies, man, vitamin D receptors from our brains, our lungs, our arms, our whatever. There are vitamin D receptors all over us. And so we need the sunlight, okay, so that we can produce the cholecalciferous, the hormone that produces the vitamin D. You hear me? And in all of that, check this out even. We can go even further, because after the sun, or I should say within the sunlight, there is information. Pardon me. Oh, wow. Let me get up. Pardon me. I apologize, but one thing about coming home from being in prison all your life is you understand that out here you living life on life terms a lot. And so I have something I have to attend to. But gratitude and thank any and everyone for tuning in. We're definitely going to pick this up again tomorrow to be continued. What did I even let off at? But I just got to But thank you once again. I'm your servant, serving you. Sheik, F.E.El, Saeed, Evansville, #Free Larry Hoover now, right now. Peace.